5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's go. I'm Gary Peter Carl. I'm with John of the Light. We're what is it? Video 15, I guess. And today we're going to talk about what kind of soul you might be. Go ahead, John.
I just wanted to say hi. I go by John of the Light, and Gary and I are going to talk a lot about, in this video, the different kinds of souls that are on Earth today. And we've done a lot of talking, Gary especially, about the non-human souls that are on Earth that have taken over humanity and that have infiltrated humanity in a stealth way via the soul. We've done a lot of talking about that, but not about all the other kinds of souls. If it looks like I'm holed up in bed, it's because I'm holed up in bed. And I just had knee surgery, and I'm about 2 weeks into my recovery from kind of full-blown knee surgery, both the full ACL repair and meniscus repair. So I apologize. We're doing this with me sort of in bed.
Tell everybody that you're discharging karma.
Yeah. Well, you know, I think you, Gary, you came up with a good video for today, and it's a really important video. And I hope people really get a good understanding of the different kinds of souls that are here on planet Earth, both human and non-human, all the different kinds of souls that are here now, and that we're all interacting with, like, on a daily basis. And people hopefully will learn something from this. Where would you like to start?
Probably the most popular term that people seem to talk about are starseeds, so why don't we start there?
You could start with starseeds, and also then talk about what most people on Earth are, right? Most people on Earth are not a starseed. Most people on Earth are actually, they have a human soul. Because why? Because they're from here. This is their home planet.
Yeah, they have a young soul, and they're what's called in cycle, and they're like in training. Their soul hasn't been in third density that long. You know, everybody, their soul starts third density, and they go through a cycle that lasts about 23 to 28,000 years in our galaxy group or whatever, in our area of the universe. It's probably similar throughout the universe, but I can't be certain. And after you go through this cycle, then you're what I call qualified for ascension. And then you want to make ascension to the fifth density. We're in the third density, which is realm 1, and you want to make ascension to the fifth density, which is realm 3. In between there, of course, is fourth density, and we'll cover that soon. We'll get into that in a little bit.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
So most people on YouTube or on the internet, most humans have a human soul, so to speak, if that's what you want to call it. They have a human soul. They came to Earth as either their home planet or one of their primary planets that they're learning on. And this is a third density world. So they're here on Schoolhouse Earth as a third density schoolhouse planet. And they're learning the lessons of third density. Most of them, most of humanity, with Earth as their home planet.
Right. As you may know or may not know, I'm the only one on the internet that does soul reports where I analyze what kind of soul each person has and how many past lives, how much karma when they go to the next level. There's other people that claim they do a soul report, but it's much different and they don't tell you too much about yourself. So anyway, you start third density and you go through a cycle, which on Earth is like 108 lives. And Earth goes through all 12 zodiac signs, and it takes 25,920 years. So it's pretty close to 26,000 years. And after you go through that, you're qualified for ascension, but you still got to make ascension to the fifth density. And if you don't make ascension, when you get to 1.82 cycles, your soul is moved to fifth density automatically.
Okay.
And you don't want to get there that way because then you start at the bottom and you don't get as attractive as a body or as good as a work spot. When you get up there, there's all the people are doing things for third density, all different things. And there's some jobs or spots that everybody wants, and there's other jobs or spots that nobody wants, and there's things in between, of course. And if you make ascension and you got high good karma and a high soul score, you'll get an attractive body where the opposite sex wants to be your mate, and you'll get a working spot that's enjoyable that everybody wants.
Can I jump in here for a second?
Yeah.
So let's clarify. Most people in humanity who might be watching this video, a large percentage they're all somewhere within their cycle. Some small percentage has completed their cycle, and then another small percentage is in, say, the end of their cycle. So they're in their 90th through 108th life. But the majority, right? The vast majority, you would say, are somewhere in their first life to their 75th life, correct?
I would say so, yeah. That's probably over half the people are in that group.
And so these are people that have lived many lives, not too many, but they've lived many lives. They die, they go to the soul plane, and they reincarnate on Earth for the next life. And then they live that life and they learn soul lessons, and they're the spiritually they develop a little further in the next life, and then they die and they go to the soul plane, and then they come back for another life. And at some point after 100 and some lives, they've completed their cycle, hopefully learned the lessons that they needed to learn. They're polarized positive, and now they're qualified for ascension. And they go from the third density, most people go from the third density to the fifth density.
That's right. And I should add that during those 108 lives, you'll be able to live about approximately 10 times on other planets. But there'll be third density planets, different third density planets. And Earth is supposedly one of the hardest planets to live on. So after a very tough life on Earth, that many of us have, they'll let you have a life on an easier planet. So you like take a break and have an easy life on a planet where there ain't all this sorrow and misery like there is on Earth, which is caused by these people with reptilian souls controlling everything.
And we've talked about how the sorrow and misery of humanity on planet Earth is somewhat right intended to help people suffer, and through suffering you learn very important hard lessons.
Right.
So
also, there's also a chance that part of the way through your third density on Earth, they can move you to a fourth density planet, and then you can start living there and make ascension there or something. You know, it's not set in stone exactly where your soul's going to be. You know.
You've just explained that a cycle is 25,920 years on Earth for humanity, for the planet as well.
Right.
So all like the vast majority of humanity is somewhere in cycle, which is why when you do a soul reading, you tell them that they are in cycle.
Right.
Okay, so we've just identified the vast majority. You'd say it's some large percentage of humanity?
Right.
80, 90, 80%, 90%, something like that?
Are what?
Are in cycle.
Oh, yeah, probably like 85%, something like that.
Right. Let's talk about another group. Who, other than humans in cycle, you have humans who have completed their cycle?
Right. Okay. You have humans that completed their cycle. They're like qualified for ascension, and they tried to make ascension out of cycle, and that's allowed like 3,000 years before the window opens. As soon as the window is going to open in like 3,000 years, you can no longer make ascension out of cycle. And basically, your soul will just sit on the soul plane and wait until the window's going to open, and then you'll incarnate then. And there's all kinds of people in that category right now that they're qualified for ascension, and they're incarnated now, and they're hoping to make ascension when the window opens. The vast majority of them, their soul got them to be polarized positive, and they're going to make ascension. A few of them can't get their body and mind to become polarized positive, and some of them are going to miss ascension. It's 20 or 30%.
So in order to make ascension,
right? You also got a bunch of people from other planets that also completed their cycle on their planet, and they didn't make ascension out of cycle, and they're looking to make ascension too. And these people from other planets, they're close to that 1.82 cycles. So they need to make ascension before they get to 1.82 cycles. So they do a lot better in fifth density. So their soul is moved to the closest third density planet where the window is going to open. And if they're within 200 light years of Earth, they'll incarnate on Earth. And when they incarnate on Earth, their soul is modified to be human. So in all respects, they have a human soul. If they have any children, the children won't get a soul from their planet. The children will get a human soul. And quite often, they'll have high skills from living in fourth density, and they'll do something great to help humanity while they're waiting for the window to open. But that's not the why they're
Talking
here.
about
They're
Starseeds now?
ascension. Yeah, Starseeds.
Okay.
So they're here. They completed the cycle on another planet that almost always was in fourth density,
Right.
where they had higher intelligence, a higher society, and
Shut the door.
a higher technological world and everything. Much better life than here.
Yeah.
And they weren't able to make ascension out of cycle, and they're getting close to the 1.82 cycles. So when they die, instead of incarnating again on their planet, their soul is brought to Earth to incarnate here because the ascension window is going to open. And so while they take a life here, they have these high skills to do important things to help the people around them, and they often do while they're here. And people think that, oh, Starseeds are here because they have these high skills to help humanity. But that's not why they're here. They're here to make individual ascension.
We talked about how most of humanity are human souls in which planet Earth is like their home planet, where they started off in third density and they're somewhere within their cycle. You call that in cycle. Then you've got a smaller percentage of those people that have completed their cycle of 25,920 years, somewhere in that 105, 110, 108 lives. Now you're talking about another group. This other group that is incarnated here and now on Earth in human bodies that have sort of like a human soul, basically. They're called starseeds. Now, you hear a lot about starseeds on the internet, all over the internet. You hear everyone talks about starseeds. You've just described starseeds as being not necessarily from Earth. Earth is not their home planet.
Right. They're from another planet that has mammal people like humanity, similar to humanity, but they might have way different bodies. They might be 3 feet tall with huge heads, or they might be 10 feet tall with blue bodies, or they could be anything.
It's a
normal body.
Okay, so they're probably somewhat close to our solar system.
Within 200 light years, usually.
All right, so these are third or fourth, usually fourth density planets that starseeds are from.
Yeah, I only got one that wasn't fourth density.
All right,
I've gotten well over 100 starseed soul reports.
And so there's millions of these starseeds here now, correct?
I think about 45 million.
45, call it 50, whatever, under 50 million. They're from another planet in another solar system is their home planet. They completed their cycle and they are ready to ascend to fifth density, but their home planet doesn't have an ascension window that's opening. So they reincarnated here on Earth now because we're about to have individual ascension. That window is about to open, and you said it might happen as soon as 2027.
Right. And they're getting close to that 1.82 cycles where they go automatically, and they don't want to get to fifth density that way. They want to make ascension. So they're sent to a third density planet where the window opens and they incarnate there.
They're not usually here on planet Earth. Like in the past.
One life only.
Right. In the last many thousands of years, these starseeds haven't been here on Earth. They're here now for a very specific reason.
Yes, to make individual ascension.
To make individual ascension because Earth is about to have the individual ascension window open for the first time in a very long time. So they came basically to hitch a ride on the ascension bus.
Sort of, yeah.
I mean, I'm not putting them down. I am not trying to be negative,
No,
but they're here for a very specific reason, to take advantage of the ascension window, the individual ascension window, different than planetary ascension. You've talked all about how there's two different kinds of ascension: planetary ascension or solar system ascension, and individual ascension. They are here specifically to take advantage of individual ascension, which you've described as a window of time that's about to open on Earth in 2027, correct?
Yeah, right. That's when that window opens, and everybody that's qualified for ascension, which includes starseeds, will make ascension if they're polarized positive, and
yet
are.
Okay, and yet while they're here in the one life that they've incarnated into, right, on Earth, one life, while they're here, you've described that they're from usually a fourth density world, a fourth density planet. So they actually come from high technology, advanced knowledge. They have how would you describe it?
They have a high class. They're from a high class spiritual life, above, more spiritual and above humanity.
So they're bringing with them to this one incarnation on Earth skills,
Right.
knowledge.
I would say about 10% of them have real high skills, and they do something noticeable to help humanity. But 90% of them are just like everybody else, and they don't have the high skills.
So most of the people here are in cycle. They're humans with a human soul. They're in cycle. A small percentage have completed their cycle. And then there's this 50 million some odd humans that look human, that have a human soul, but they're actually not from here. They are called starseeds.
Okay, let's move on to
let's move on.
Yeah. Okay. Now the next kind of soul that there's about 75 to 100 million, actually about 1 out of every 100 people, is what's called a wanderer. And a wanderer is a soul that lived on another planet like Earth and went through third, probably fourth density, and made ascension and went to fifth density, and 3/4 of a cycle into fifth density. If they're in the top 8 in 10,000, they're asked if they want to be a wanderer. And if not, they complete fifth density and move on to sixth density. And 1/4 of a cycle into sixth density, if they're in the top 9 in 1,000, they're asked if they want to be a wanderer. And about 2 out of 3 souls or people that are asked to be a wanderer turn it down because they don't want to go through the sorrow and misery of third density again. But about 1/3 accept it, and then they go back and incarnate on third density planets. They usually have a rotation of 5 planets, and occasionally one of their planets goes to fourth density, so a different planet is added.
Describe the purpose, though. What's the purpose of them accepting this mission from God, so to speak? Their purpose, their mission is to go back to third density. Why?
To help the people there with spirituality.
To help them.
They go there completely blind. They're born with an empty mind, the same as the rest of us. We don't have a veil that blocks us from remembering. when we incarnate, our mind starts at the same point. At the same time when we incarnate, our mind starts. And it starts out empty. And in third density, the soul cannot learn the mind. And so the mind learns by experience. It learns that if you cry, the mother comes and you get food or warmth or love or whatever, attention, whatever you want. And eventually, by experience, you learn how to talk and eat and do everything there is to do in the life. And your mind is filled up with experiences, and that's how you learn. There's no veil that blocks you from remembering. You just start with an empty mind that learns by experience. And that's true for wanderers as well as everybody else. But a wanderer has a highly developed soul that went through all these experiences, went through fourth density usually, sometimes third density, and they went through some of fifth or sixth density. And now he has a very developed soul, so the soul can't load the mind with information or knowledge, but the soul can guide the mind on what to do. Don't do this, go here, do that, or whatever. And the soul guides the mind to have a good life. And now the wanderer is usually born into a halfway decent life where he has a chance to help the people. You're not born into a life where you're homeless and you're trying to look for food. You're born into a life with usually a reasonable family where you're educated and you have a chance to help the people.
Okay, so we've talked about humanity. We're talking about everyone involved that's incarnated today on Earth. We've got in cycle, we've got those, which is most people, those who've completed cycle, which is a smaller percentage. You've got a really small percentage of starseeds, which are not from here, that came from another planet. Another planet would be their home planet. They came here to make ascension. And now we're talking about one of the other groups, one of the last groups is wanderers. Wanderers, as you've just described, are not from here. Earth is not their home planet. They've already been through third density. They've completed their cycle. They've graduated.
Fourth density. Sometimes.
Okay, they graduated. They moved on to fifth density. Most wanderers have actually went through fifth density, completed fifth density, and moved on to sixth density.
Right. I'll explain the percentages. 99.2% of wanderers come out of sixth density, and 0.8% of wanderers come out of fifth density. I come out of fifth density. John comes out of sixth density. We're both wanderers. All wanderer souls are modified to be human. So if they have any children here, in case they're female and have children, their children will have human souls. There's probably about somewhere around 1 out of 100 people or something like that are wanderers. When I do soul reports, I get a lot of wanderers. Most wanderers have I have a skill level system on wanderers, and I apply it to Starseeds as well, but it's a little different on Starseeds. On wanderers, they have a skill from 1 to 4 in halves, and 4 is the highest. There's just a few wanderers here that have a skill of 4. I'm told I'm either a 3.5 or a 4. I made the great discovery that the people ruling us have human bodies and reptilian souls. No one else on the planet has discovered that, and that's going to help humanity here shortly, but I'm working on it. And there's a lot of wanderers that have a 3 skill, 3.5 skill, or 4. If you actually have a 2.5 skill or higher, you can help humanity as a whole, where you can write books, do seminars, speak to crowds, and things like that. Most wanderers here have a 2 skill or a 1 or 1.5 skill, and they just help the people around them by example. And most of the soul reports I get of wanderers have a 2 skill.
And you can identify if someone contacts you through your website, icheckyoursoul.com. You can tell them, you can do a soul reading on them, and you can tell them whether they're in cycle or completed their cycle, or if they're a star seed, or if they're a wanderer.
And that's free. And that's called a mini soul reading. And,
Okay.
and you can send me an email and ask for a mini soul reading, and it's free, but I don't accept any lists. It'd be just for you. You can't put your wife and your brother and your 2 kids on there. It's just for the person that sends me the email. Otherwise, I'll be inundated with lists of 20. Everybody sends me a list of 20 people for mini soul readings, and I don't want that. Just the person that sends me the email can get one. Now, you can also do, if you go to my spiritual truth page, there's 3 tests there that you can do. There's a sway test, a hand test, and a finger test, where you can find out the truth on something. If you try this sway test, where you stand up straight and you make a statement, and if the statement is true, you'll feel yourself start to lean forward. And if the statement is false, you'll feel yourself start to lean backwards. And you can ask, am I a wanderer? And you can see if you lean forward or backwards. And then you can ask, am I a star seed? And you can see if you lean forward or backwards. You can ask, am I qualified for ascension? And you can see if you lean forward or backwards. I don't know how good this will work, but
they can also just contact you.
Yeah, you can fool around with that some. Try it on things you know the answer to, like is there a God, and see if your body starts leaning forward, and ask a few things you know, and get the test working, and then move into things that you don't know the answer to, like am I a wanderer or something like that.
Let's go back to talking more about wanderers, because there's so much more to talk about. So let's try to clarify what a wanderer really means. This mission, these people, so we're talking about souls just like everyone else that have graduated 3rd density or 4th density and went on to 5th density. And if they were extremely spiritual, like top of their class, essentially, if they were very talented, highly spiritual in 5th density, they might have been given an opportunity to become a wanderer. Now, you said it's
The top, when you're 3/4 of a cycle, 5th density lasts for 1 cycle. And right. When you're 3/4 of a cycle through 5th density, and you're in the top 8 in 10,000.
8 in 10,000.
You're asked if you want to be a wanderer.
All right. So if you're
I was one of those. I was one of those, and doing about 1,000 or so soul reports, I found 2 other people that were one of those.
Right. So very few people. You don't have to
be a real skillful person. You can be a wanderer 2 or a wanderer 3 and be one of those.
So very, very few wanderers on Earth today are from 5th density. Now, there's the majority of wanderers on Earth completed 5th density, went to 6th density, and after about a quarter cycle, about 9 or 10 in 1,000, 9 in 1,000.
If you're in the top 9 in 1,000, you're asked if you want to be a wanderer.
All right. So whether you're the top 9 in 1,000, in 6th density or the top 8 in 10,000 in 5th, you're offered this opportunity to become a wanderer. Now, you said that 2/3 of those offered that opportunity, 2/3 of those turn it down. Why?
Because they don't want to go, because they're having such a good life in these higher densities, and they don't want to go back to the sorrow and misery of third density, even though third density is way more exciting, and they're, you're athletic, and there's games and all kinds of stuff's happening, and the shit hits the fan constantly, so to speak, in third density. People get killed, there's fights, people get rich, people have good things and bad things, and things go wrong. All kinds of stuff happens in third density. It's very exciting. And in the higher densities, they don't have none of this. There's no football or nothing. I think you might mute it. Oh no. Okay.
All right. So accepting the mission of a wanderer means that you go back to third density, like planet Earth, from 5th density. You've already graduated 3rd and sometimes 4th. You've usually gone through all of 5th. Now you're in 6th density for most wanderers. You get offered this mission. You're the top 9 in 1,000 in terms of sort of your spiritual development. You're offered the opportunity to become a wanderer. 2/3 of those offered the opportunity to become a wanderer turn it down. And the reason you're saying is because it's a huge sacrifice. You have to go back to third density. And what is the commitment? What are you agreeing to do when you become a wanderer? You go back to third density for what? For how long?
Out of 6th density, about 25,000 years, and out of 5th density, about 35,000 years. So I got to do like 142 lives, and John has to do like 105 lives, something like that.
And you're saying that it's a huge sacrifice, namely because you're going back to school in third density with everyone who's just starting out.
Depends on how you look at it, if you're going back, and there's all kinds of highs and lows and excitement. Some people want that, and some people don't want it. Most people probably don't want it. They like an easy life where they stand around talking to everybody and do a few fun things, which is how it might be in the higher densities. Supposedly, when you get to 5th density, life is 100 times better, because you don't have all the crappy shit that can happen, like in third density. Third density is way more exciting, even more than 4th density. If you make 4th density, which is coming up soon, you'll get a body that ain't as athletic. And I don't know if they'll have football and basketball and stuff like that. They might not have it anymore. Or you'll have a body that can't play as good. The best player and the worst player will be closer, maybe. Now, what I want to tell you something else important about wanderers.
Yeah.
When you get here, your soul is more potent and more powerful. So if you're a 5th density soul, your soul is divided into 3 parts, and 2 parts take a life, and 1 part stays on the soul plane. So I'm here, and there's another person that's in my soul. And if you're from 6th density, your soul is even more powerful there, and it divides into 4 parts. So 3 parts are in 3 different bodies, 3 different people, and 1 part's on the soul plane. So John, there's another part of John's soul that lives in Europe somewhere, and there's another part of John's soul that lives in one of those countries below the equator, I think. Usually you're the same race in all your bodies. You're muted or something, John.
I'm not muted. I don't think so.
Okay, well, you were moving your lips and I couldn't hear you, but now I can.
All right. So the part I wanted to get to is as we develop spiritually and we learn the lessons that we were intended to learn in third density and then fourth density for some, and then we go through fifth density. We're learning spiritual lessons, and our spirit is developing. Our soul is developing in greater ways, and we're learning lessons of love, and we're learning how to be more loving and more kind and more generous and respectful. We're learning how to be more of service to other people. So I wanted to ask you about, the Wanderer mission. The Wanderer mission is a big sacrifice. You're going back to third density, and you're going back to third density in order to help younger souls in third density learn spirituality, become more spiritual, learn lessons of love and service to others. That's a big sacrifice for wanderers to go back to third density? Is that because they've learned more about love and they're trying to be of service to younger souls?
Yes, it is. You have all this experience to help younger souls, and you're given a better than average life on whatever planet you're on. And also, if you develop any bad karma, you're supposed to discharge it before you die. They don't like wanderers taking on much bad karma.
So wanderers make a huge sacrifice and a huge commitment in order to help others. Typically, it's helping others in third density, correct? Who have
Always
younger
third
souls.
density. Yeah, we only
Always
go to
third.
third density.
And
Wanderers only incarnate in third density.
And so their sacrifice is in order to help younger souls in third density. Now, how would you describe sort of the difference between a wanderer and a starseed? Do you want to make a comparison?
Okay, yeah. First of all, let me say 3/4 of the soul groups that have empathy for others are in fourth density, and 1/4 are in third density. Now, star seeds are here for only one life, and they come from a fourth density planet. They may have had a flashy, high life experience, and so when they come to Earth, they do those type of things, and sometimes they get noticed and they help humanity a lot. Whereas a wanderer, he's incarnated on like 50 third density planets in a row, and he's more subdued, and you don't hear about what he's doing as much. But a few wanderers are highly talented, and they do something great, to help others. You probably heard of David Wilcock or uh, what's Alfred Weber.
Sure.
There's a few of them, and then there's star seeds like David Icke, Carrie Cassidy, uh, that help others a lot too.
The wanderers that are here, they've made a huge commitment and a huge sacrifice to go back a couple of densities to help younger souls in third density for at least an entire cycle, like over 100 lifetimes, while a starseed is only here for one life in order to make ascension and help third density humanity during the lifetime that they're here. The one.
Yeah, if they can. Yeah, most of them can't do much, but some of them can. And a wanderer always can do something, at least help the people around them.
Now, you've talked a lot about ascension. I thought you could also mention that ascension doesn't really affect wanderers, correct?
No, they always stay in third density, and they don't make either. They don't really make either ascension. They don't never go to fourth density, and they don't make ascension to fifth density. They just stay in third density to help third density planets.
So what's the benefit if there is one? The benefit to a wanderer is that by helping others, they are helping themselves. This is probably one of the most important lessons that everyone can learn from wanderers, is that the commitment to helping others is really a commitment to also sort of helping oneself, correct?
Right. Oh, when your mission's over, you get all kinds of high perks. You go to seventh density with one cycle completed. You get a fancy body. The opposite sex will want you. You'll get the higher jobs. You only have to do half of seventh density. You'll be like a special person and all that when you're done with your mission. So there's a lot of exciting perks to it.
Sure.
To take the mission too. It's
But
not
at
like
a
it's not like
huge
all sacrifice.
So there's a huge sacrifice.
It's a mission, yeah.
So I guess
I think we got to end it here. So we're going out.
I would end on. I'd like to end on the concept that that one of the most important things people can learn is the importance of helping others, and if you can actually get there in wherever you are, whether you're in cycle, ending a cycle, whether you're from fourth density and you're a starseed or a wanderer who knows this intricately, the most important thing one of the most important things we can learn in humanity is the value of helping others, the importance of helping others.
Get good karma that way, and it's very valuable.
All right. Well, I think we really nailed the different kinds of souls here on Earth today in humanity. I think we should also mention, which I think you did, that there's another type of soul incarnated into human bodies. We've talked about it on many other videos. I think you mentioned it earlier in this video, and that is other types of ETs. Negative.
They're not modified to be human, and they're here to control humanity and take over. They mostly have reptilian souls and insect souls and maybe some spider souls, but it's mostly reptilian.
There's not a lot of them.
And they're here to take over. And we've talked a lot about that in the other videos.
There's not a lot of them. There's only maybe 4 or 5 million.
Right.
So on planet Earth, there's 4 or 5 million humans walking around that you might think are human but are not. They have human bodies, but they have non-human extraterrestrial souls. That's the only other type of soul that you might find on Earth.
And they work together to control us, and they're evil generally.
And that covers.
Let's end on that.
Okay.
Thanks for watching. Remember, we're on BitChute and Rumble as well as YouTube.